Hello everyone, today due to popular demand we are going to check out Caligo's theme from Elden Ring Nightreign. The first time I fought Caligo, I was really mesmerized, so let's check it out. Caligo's theme has 3 different phases to it, so we'll begin with phase 1. The best word I can use to describe what I'm experiencing is beauty. Absolute beauty. And a beauty that is gentle, a little tragic. When you're composing a theme for a boss fight, an enemy this massive, it can be very tempting as a composer to go ballistic. Just go, make the choir go fortissimo, everything explodes. It can be very tempting, and it used to happen a lot in From Software games, still occasionally does, but every once in a while you have that track that veers away from that, and Nightreign shows such a good collection of unique tracks that kind of experiment more, that go to different directions. Now, of course, it's not that it never happened before with From Software, but Nightreign feels uniquely experimental when it comes to the kind of music that's in it. And Caligo's theme is a great example of it. So let's see what kind of creates that sense of beauty. First and foremost, the texture, the choice of instruments. We begin with a swelling cymbal, right? Those high frequencies are very much connotationally connected for us with the concept of ice, of cold, of gentleness. The choir sings a very focused, stagnant line, as if the melody itself is frozen in time, which is very appropriate for the scenery we're in and for the boss itself. The very high notes in the strings, in which you can really hear the bow on the strings, it helps create more of that icy sound, that icy character. Let's try to isolate the strings for a second. The strings here cover a very wide range, going from very low to very high at the same time, really creating a sense of awe. And they're playing softly, they're playing gently, and there's so much potential in playing piano and pianissimo, because a lot of expression only exists in that area. I always tell my students for composition that fortissimo and forte, it's a concrete ceiling. You can only be in that area for so long. But while the fortissimo and the forte are a concrete ceiling, the piano and the pianissimo and the piano pianissimo, they are an ocean of opportunity. You can stay there a lot longer and express yourself a lot more freely before it becomes grating for the audience. Speaking of the dynamic piano, let's talk about the instrument piano, because it plays quite a significant role here. I don't think we've had a dragon fight that has a prominent piano part thus far. We have had prominent piano parts in different themes from different From Software games. Gwyn's theme is a very well-known example. But fighting a dragon and hearing a very prominent piano, it's a very unique feeling. It contrasts so well with the massive size of Caligo, because it makes her feel so much more gentle, so much more elegant, intelligent, and I think that's also supported by the game, but we'll get to that in a second. The melody on the piano begins with a leap upwards of a perfect fifth. But instead of doing what's usually happening with melodies, which is kind of compensating for a leap upwards with a step downwards, here it just keeps rising. It really helps give Caligo a sense of something great, something beyond. Not only that, but the note that we're finishing this little statement on is D, while the bass is A. It really provides a sense of an unanswered question. There isn't much sense of finality, of strong directionality when it comes to the harmony or the tension that's happening right here in the theme. That lack of melodic certainty or finality really helps with this feeling of something that is hidden in fog. Now, the word caligo from Latin actually means fog or darkness. But arguably more importantly, the fog is a crucial part of Caligo's existence in the game. Her knight in Nightreign is called Fisher in the Fog, and the description of lore we do have of her, you know what, let's check it out for a second. Let's check out the item description for the Knight of the Miasma. Miasma? Your asthma. From the phantasmal peak upon which she hid herself, she peered down into the world, committing to memory what she perceived. Then, her eye drawn to a certain cataclysm, from out of hiding she leapt with wings unfurled. For she wished to know and to understand firsthand just what fortunes and misfortunes the disaster would bring upon the world. This piece of lore describes Caligo as hiding twice. One, from the phantasmal peak upon which she hid herself, right? And the second time, from out of hiding she leapt. But what is she hiding from? From the very little we do know about the ice dragons, we do know they had a war with the fire giants. If they were losing that war, it makes sense that Caligo would go into hiding. Now remember, the things I present are not a theory or a thesis on the lore, basically a lore enthusiast's rambling as we're listening to the soundtrack. Let's continue. Notice how, between the melodic phrases of the piano, it answers itself with a little bit of call and response. Check it out. That little strumming movement of two notes played in an octave is really similar to that aesthetic we've seen in Marika's theme, in Gwyn's theme. Now that's not to say that Gwyn and Marika are connected directly to Caligo, more than it's an aesthetic and artistic flair that they use when they want to pull out as much emotion and sympathy as they can get from you. And they want you to have that for Marika. They want you to have that for Gwyn in the sense that it is tragic what has become of him. And they want you to have that sympathy for Caligo. And I think it's very effective. Again, not just one thing that makes it happen, but it's a very cool pattern to see. Now here we have more variations on the motif, but notice how in the accompaniment we suddenly have a change of the strings and the choir. They have a little break, a little breathing room. That is so important, to choose where music isn't, where music is not fully present all of the time, because that can be very overwhelming. It can really take you out of it, because if everything is happening all of the time, you just disengage. Listen well to that line in the choir. It's going to lead you when you hear that accompaniment. Da da da, ti da. Check it out. This track was composed by Soma Tanizaki, and all I can say is that's a composer that understood the assignment. This is so smart. Here we have a slowing down of the tempo, at least the sense of it. The piano is dragging more and more, creating a sense of stretching time. Now, the fact we are aware of our own mortality. Daniel, where are you going with this? Just bear with me. The fact that we are aware of our own mortality as a species, the fact that we know that time is something that is finite for us, I think that's a huge reason for why music touches us the way that it does. As composers, our paint is air movement, and our canvas is time. Here, by slowing down the piano a little bit, we get that sense of stretching time to go even slower, even more frozen, even more stuck in time. Not in the Farum Azula sense, but in the preserved in ice sense. It's like that little twinkle in the piano, which adds something cute to this massive dragon fight. They want you to feel bad about fighting her, I am telling you. Why do you have to be so beautiful? This video is gonna be so long. After that ephemeral beauty in the opening, it's as if we have the moment in which Caligo decides to actually fight you. It's as if at the beginning of the track she's not fully committed to fighting you. She basically wants you to back the hell off, but that's about it. Now we can almost hear that decision of going into the fight. So we begin this part with a very strong relationship of tonic and dominant, of something stable and something that destabilizes it. We have the stable part, da, ti, da, da, and then the unstable part, ta, ti, da. In comparison with what we've heard before, it is so dramatic and directional. It has so much intention, which is why I think this portion shows Caligo deciding to actually commit to fighting you instead of telling you to back the hell off. The use here of chromaticism really helps evoke that sense of the romantic era of music, late Beethoven, maybe Rachmaninoff. This is so very heart-wrenching, wearing your emotions on your sleeve type of music. This portion really says, oh, good work, congratulations, you pissed off the beautiful chill dragon. Chill dragon, I'll see myself out. Here we have something really cool happening in the piano. Before in the melody we've had ta-dee-da-da, and now we have a variation on the theme that runs this little melody up across the range of the piano. Ta-dee-da-dum. That's a condensed version of ta-dee-da-da. This creates more urgency, as if the story is moving forward, which is so important in a boss fight, for a boss fight to feel like it's dynamic and it's not just taking forever for no reason. Sometimes the mechanics will have you run away from the boss or hide, and none of those times can feel like unnecessarily dead moments. So to make sure that the sense of threat is still there, we have the stretching and condensing of time with different musical techniques. Another cool thing that's happening here is the emphasis on the second beat of the bar. Usually when we have a bar of 4x4, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. But here we have 1, 2, 3, 4. This helps create a tiny bit of confusion about how the player perceives the beat. It helps the track feel a lot less repetitive, and not only that, I'll tell you a secret, it actually elevates the level of difficulty. Because your brain is going on auto mode. It does not recognize a new pattern, it knows that this is the beat, and this is where the emphasized beats are. And then the soundtrack throws you a curveball, and a part of the CPU in your brain has to go to understanding that new pattern, to reassess everything, just one beat aside. They didn't change the time signature, they didn't make it like prog metal, they didn't need to. They just took the attention of your subconscious a touch more. And the calculations continue, and the boss is just a tiny bit harder to fight. It's a very subtle and effective technique, and I always recommend it to my video game composition students to try and see how you create a variation within the track itself that doesn't break its own aesthetic rules, but it's just enough to have the player's brain do a double take. Pay attention to the emphasis on the second beat when we get to this point. 1, 2, 3, and 1, and the cymbals go hard, and we have a moment of emphasis that throws the player off. This is what smart composers do. Everything in music can be boiled down to repetition and variation. Those two things aren't contradictory forces, they're yin and yang. They're completing forces. The balance between them is the one that is to be achieved, not the eradication of either. By presenting that theme, da-dee-da, and then going on in a variation, an area that is more rhythmic, more harmonic, but still contains in the piano that running of da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And then, when all the instruments come in and play that line, it has so much more impact because we've had time to miss it a little bit. That repetition is the thing that creates the emotional impact, not necessarily the variation. I feel like as young composers, we tend to hyper-focus on variation because we don't want to get bored while composing, but a smart use of repetition can be the gut punch of the track, and this is definitely one of these moments. That's such a pretty ending for the first phase. This ending part of the track is a part that players aren't ever gonna hear in the game, because the track has to loop until moving to the next phase. So this is specifically for the album. But the choices in that moment are absolutely gorgeous. All of the aggression dissipates, and we're left with vulnerability, we're left with beauty, and we're left with that little thrill that we've had before Caligo committed to fighting us. Composing an intro before the looping part really helps with storytelling, it helps with characterization of the boss, and it helps you create more sense of variation because when the loop returns, it doesn't return to the beginning of the track. It returns to the point in which things got intense. In a way, the beginning of the fight is always a unique experience to the beginning of it. It doesn't come back. Before moving to the second phase, let's circle back to Caligo for a second. Beyond being the Latin word for fog and darkness, Caligo is also used in two other occasions I can think of. One is in a species of tropical butterflies. I think they're called owl butterflies because of the type of camouflage they have on their wings. And the second usage is an old medical one describing eye fogginess, partial blindness, stuff like that. Both of these things, I think, are very relevant to our understanding of Caligo. Let's begin with the butterfly meaning. One of the core aesthetic elements of Caligo's design is her beautiful four wings, already creating that visual connotation of a butterfly. But Caligo owl butterflies are also known for their camouflage, for hiding, remaining hidden. I think it also bears mentioning that in Japanese culture and mythology, butterflies are also evocative of a concept called mono no aware, pardon my pronunciation, but it's a concept that means the transience of beauty. The beauty in something that is fleeting. Essentially, since the life of the butterfly is so short, it makes it even more beautiful. I think that's the reason the entire first phase, especially the intro, focuses so heavily on the sense of beauty, on the sense of something ephemeral and delicate. Which leads me to the last meaning of Caligo's name, the old medical one. Eye cloudiness, partial blindness, eye fogginess, right? Makes a lot of sense because, Caligo is creating fog herself. She's shrouding the entire mountain, she's hiding herself. But that's not all. In the Caligo fight, there is a giant eye in the sky, and the bottom of that eye is shrouded in fog. Yeah, that's one of the more Lovecraftian things I've seen in a while in a From Software game. I wouldn't linger on that connection too much if not for what appears in the item description. Then, her eye drawn to a certain cataclysm. From out of hiding she leapt, with wings unfurled. In this sentence, we have reference to all three meanings of Caligo's name. We have the eye drawn to a certain cataclysm. Mind you, not necessarily the night, it's called a certain cataclysm. We have the Latin fog, meaning from out of hiding she leapt. And we have the butterfly meaning with wings unfurled. Somewhere between these three meanings of the name, I think there is a story waiting to be uncovered. There's also something to be said about Caligo's character that is being represented in this text. From the phantasmal peak upon which she hid herself, she peered down into the world, committing to memory what she perceived. Essentially, she was hiding, but she was constantly learning, seeing. She was not interfering, but it was important for the text for some reason to dedicate a whole line to the fact that she remembers, the fact that she willingly committing to memory what she is perceiving. Then again, for the final sentence, she wished to know and to understand firsthand just what fortunes and misfortunes the disaster would bring upon the world. That description of motivation is very direct for what we usually get in item descriptions. We're told very clearly what she wanted, and she wanted to understand firsthand what fortunes and misfortunes the disaster would bring. It's a type of morbid curiosity that we can mainly see a creature that lives a very long time developing. If you have any ideas what that eye in the sky is doing and how it's connected to all of this, make sure to put it down in the comments below because I don't have a clue. Time to check out Phase 2. This is unreasonably beautiful. Let's check it out. After a short intro that presents a level of tension and level of drama, it helps also cover the transition between the previous track and the new one. We have a new melody coming in, and that melody begins with a leap of a whole octave. That thing is dramatic. Most songs and pieces that contain a leap upwards of an octave, they reserve that for something that is very emotional, very dramatic, like a somewhere over the rainbow. So we also have that in My Heart Will Go On, for example, Celine Dion. Near, far, wherever, pa. We have that leap of an octave. It grabs your heart and it really brings you into that new melody. It's not epic in an aggressive way, it's epic in an emotional way. There is tragedy in this, like a cruel twist of fate that you need to put down that majestic, beautiful creature. You can call me a dragon simp all you want, but it's still true. This track makes me question whether the Night Lords are there by choice. What's their story? Why are they there? Okay, that was another unexpected rhythmic moment. Dee da dee. And then tum 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 tum. Listen to that, to the little piano break at the beginning there. It kind of again prolongs the beginning of the new phrase to throw us off a little bit. It just creates the sense that the boss is charging an attack, even if they're not charging it at that moment. But it makes you collect yourself and brace for impact. So that little piano line, tum 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 tum, that it's very unique and cute. I didn't expect it at all. Here we have another variation. Earlier, we've had a motif that went like ta-dee-da, and here we have ta-dee-da-dee, ta-dee-da-da-da. So this is a variation, it's an evolution of the motif we heard before. And it really feels like a metamorphosis of a butterfly, because that motif begins very small and it grows to be longer, more intricate, and have more details in it. It matures here within this second phase track, which is super cool. The insistence on the beautiful and the pretty and the elegant, this phrase we heard right now, ba-da-da-da, it's almost cliche in the way that Japanese music implements jazz elements into it. You can see it in like visual novels and anime. Like that line is emblematic though of beauty of the moment. Seeing it contrasted with the level of romantic drama and the cruel hand of fate, that beauty within it, it's a very unique contrast, basically holding the rope at both ends at all times. The choir here absolutely explodes, and once more slowing down the beat a little bit, squeezing out the bar before the explosion, so the build-up is as impactful as it can possibly be. Let's continue to this last portion of phase 2. I need a moment to process what just happened. Okay, so first and foremost, the melodic line "da-da-dee-da" is another evolution of the motif that we've had. And all of the choir is singing it, so it is the emotional peak, the most human call for your sympathy that we've had this far. The reason for my surprise is the harmonic twist that they went for here and how well they pulled it off. This portion begins with the whole choir coming in and C sharp minor in the harmony. Da-da-da-dee, da-da-dee, and then we move to a B major, da-dee-da-da-da, of sorts. But instead of keeping things consistent, instead of C sharp minor, they go to C sharp major, which is not from the same scale. It is a pretty sharp contrast in color, but they use the melody to get you there. Pay attention. And the brass are swelling up, and it has this kind of heroic light winning over darkness, that major defeating the minor chord that came before it, which is very interesting and a very good usage of melody to move you there. You can have the same melody but have a different chord under it, and it gives it a different feeling. Da-dee-dee-da, or da-dee-dee-da. Very bright, very almost celebratory. Fantastic use of harmony to create interest, to create movement. I support it. In the piano, we have da-dee-dee-dee-da. We basically have that motif, again, moving between the instruments, keeping on happening. We shouldn't ditch motifs. Repetition is power. It is the thing that allows us to generate a level of care within the listener, for them to give a damn about what we've written. It just needs to be balanced well with the level of variation we present. Very, very cool. So this is the end of the second phase. Let's hear the third phase. Transition, of course. Ooh, mysterious. Okay, that caught me unprepared. So after the intro that helps us transition from the second phase to the third phase, now we have something different, very different. Remember how I told you that we sometimes throw off the emphasis of rhythm and the organization of rhythm to create difficulty? Well, here they change the time signature completely. Now, instead of doing like a 1, 2, 3, 4 pattern, 4 fours, it goes to 6 eights. Again, like we had in the menu theme. We're back to that dance of the night. We're back to that sinister lullaby, which is a very strong shift of rhythm. But not only that, we also have confusing rhythm at the beginning of it. It takes a while to even understand that it's 6/8. It really clouds your understanding of what the rhythm is, because the piano is kind of doing an erratic line that is moving around, emphasizing weird spots. And to follow what's the actual time signature, you have to listen to the basses because they do the counting from the beginning. It's very interesting. We have the melody being moved between the cellos and first violins. This is a variation on a motif from the first phase. So here it's like da dee da dee da da. And in the first phase, we had dee da da. And in this third phase, we have da dee da da. It's another evolution on that first motif that we haven't seen so much from in the second phase. And again, the fact you present something, you take it away and you bring it back, that's the gut punch. That is the sense of, let's call it micro nostalgia, because it's something that is familiar. And when there's something chaotic you don't know, you are so happy to see a familiar face. The fact they're consistent with keeping these motifs, keeping on evolving them, that's part of what gives Caligo a very unique and very memorable character theme. Contrast is the name of the game. Here we hear a reduction, not only to softer dynamics, but also to a more intimate orchestration, more solo string instruments instead of the whole section playing. We talked about it also in the menu theme. This soundtrack has more emphasis on intimacy, on a personal type of storytelling. You also see that, by the way, with the writing for the remembrances of the different Nightfarers. We will probably get to it at some point in one of the tracks, but the writing is very different than what we usually see in From Software item descriptions and stuff like that, which is very unique and interesting to see. Yeah, let's continue. They did it again. They did that thing where they're dragging the tempo, they're slowing down before the beginning of the new idea. Kind of to squeeze it out. It really stretches your nerves. And it also helps to throw you off your rhythm when you're in these late critical stages of the boss fight. But also, remember, we don't want to introduce too much new information because we don't want to make the boss fight frustrating. Like, it has to walk a pretty fine line between everything that it already had and keeping on developing it into not pushing too far so it doesn't become disconnected and exhausting to deal with. And they're pulling it off really well. And the piano just starts like moving erratically again after that slowdown, which is a bigger contrast in stretching the time back and forth because we have slowing down and then speeding up. That time manipulation becomes more and more extreme, more and more overt. And it really helps pushing that emotional reaction farther. Bastards. Okay. So good, so good, so good. We have now a kind of a reprising the motif from the second phase. Da-dee-dee-da-da-da. And basically in this third phase we have the mashing of the motif both from the first phase and the second one. Two different entities kind of becoming one and melding into each other. I'm not saying it in a narrative way. In a musical way, we have two musical entities being kind of combined into one, which is very, very cool. Again, bringing back something that you have taken away from the listener for a while. It will fill your heart with nostalgia. It will do that effect. It's like seeing someone you love who you haven't seen for a while. It's undeniably effective. I adore how they did it because you need a level of awareness, patience, and humility to put the melodies that are in your care before your own general free artistic expression. Once you've created a melody and you imparted it to the listener, now you have to nurture that relationship between the melody and the listener. And they did it so well. When this melody comes back, it's like a slap to the face. It's so emotionally effective. I love it. I freaking love it. Screw you. Damn, I felt that. Okay, they brought back the motif from the first phrase. The first phase, sorry. Ti-da-da, ti-da-da. Like, back to the piano ending. Considering the fact that the beauty of the line of the piano was kind of evocative of the beauty of Caligo. Ending with that is tragic. That is tragic. This is no victory. It's such an interesting experience. I'm so happy I checked this out. I understand why you guys wanted me to check out this track. It's unbelievable. Thank you for recommending it. And yeah, if there's anything else you'd like me to check out, make sure to put it in the comments below. I'll make sure to examine it thoroughly. Beyond that, don't forget, hydrate, stretch, take good care of yourself, and I'll see you on the next one.